am ready. Let me go ahead and send this out. See what I can do. Let's see what I can do. Alrighty. I'm gonna see if I can get some little music going in the back. Non-copyright, that is. I don't want it to be too loud. That's a commercial. That's an ad. Welcome in, welcome in. Some little background music here. Welcome, welcome. Who's that? Let me know. Let me know who watching in the chat. We live. I'm just gonna give a few more minutes. Let me know who in the chat. Don't be shy, don't be shy. Can you guys hear me? Man, look, what's up? What's up, Ariel? You said we as in plural? Yes. This music is not the vibe, let me see. I'm trying to get something smooth, something vibey. That's not gonna give me a copyright. Who else in the chat? I see I got 2 folks in the chat. Who else in there? I'm ready to chit chat. Like, we're just acting like we're on FaceTime, except I'm the only one that can talk. So I'm gonna need y'all to be active in the chat. Of course, I have like no more water. Let's get active. Hey, Jesse, what's up? Welcome in, you guys. I'm actually super excited to do this live chat tonight. It's been something I've been wanting to do for a while. If you guys have seen at all any of my like description on this live chat, I am a DIYer. My name is Evon, but I go by Bebo. I'm a DIYer. I'm a stay-at-home mom. But I also am a wife. I've been married. It'll be 9 years married in March. I am a boy mom. I have my son, he's 6, but I also have a 12-month-old who I'm fostering. So I have a little bit of experience within the foster care system. And thank you. And yeah, actually I have my master's in social work as well. So I did that for a while. I worked in child welfare for about 4 or so years. So I have a little bit of experience in that. I'm also a DIYer. And so I'm here on my channel, just kind of sharing my life with you guys. And one of the things that I wanted to do was this kind of segment, which is basically a chat where we kind of talk and I answer you guys questions. I just give my opinion on a lot of things. I have a lot of friends who come in and kind of get different advice from me. I'm often counseling my friends and my family. I was a counselor, a therapist for a little bit of time as well. I have my license in social work also. And so, yeah, I just kind of wanted to kind of have an opportunity to be able to still do what I love, which is help people and talk to people and interact with people. And what better way to do that than this live? You know what I'm saying? So thank you guys for the compliments. Yeah, I paid a lot of money for this smile. I did Invisalign and I love my smile. I brush my teeth a lot too. So thank you for the compliments on that, Mikey. Thank you, Annabella, for the compliment. I sometimes feel prettier than others today. My hair is done, so I feel very pretty. Thank you. And then Mitch, I think that's your name. I did have a good day, so thank you so much. If you guys have any questions or anything that you kind of want to get my thoughts on, please be sure to put those in the comments. I had posted on my Instagram, my Facebook, and on my TikTok But I didn't allow for a whole lot of time. I did get a question, and so I'm kind of going to start with that. The question that I got, let me look it up because I don't want to just like, I don't want to say the wrong, say the wrong thing. So basically, the question in a nutshell, if I can find it, was from my good old friend. And it is how to speak and communicate to your man when you are frustrated. I actually really love that question. And I appreciate her for sharing this question. It's a conversation that her and I have had on many occasions, and or a conversation, yeah, that we've had on many occasions. And one of the things that I've worked really, really hard on in my life as I have evolved as a mother and as a wife is to be patient and to communicate effectively. I've learned that as a woman, like the things that I say hold so much weight and have so much impact. And especially when I'm frustrated, you know, a lot of times we kind of react out of anger and we say stuff that we don't really mean. So I guess to answer that question is the same thing, like that age old tale that your parents would tell you, like think before you speak. One of the things I always say and I always think to myself is whatever I'm about to say, is it going to actually help my goal, or like is it going to get me closer to my goal, or is it going to get further away from my goal? So in this particular situation, she's talking about her relationship with her partner, her spouse, or your husband, your wife. If your goal in that interaction or in that relationship is to stay married with that person or stay with that person, you want to make sure that the conversations and the communication and the things that you're communicating is going to work towards that goal. Like if I crash out about, you know, my husband not taking out the trash, or if I crash out about not getting the help that I need for my kids, and now I'm saying this stuff and I'm talking crazy and I'm disrespecting my husband, like, am I actually going to be, is that going to be a fruitful interaction with my husband for the goal that we have, which is to stay married? And it's not easy. Like I've had many of situations where I'm like, I want to say, you know, there's so many things that I want to say or that I can say. And there's been times, especially early on in our relationship, where I've said things that I shouldn't have said or that weren't necessarily beneficial to the relationship. And it had a long lasting impact. I also think about it in the lens of us as a parent. We've all been parented. Whether we agree with how we were parented or not, we know what it feels like as a receiver of information, especially from somebody who you trust. And that same thing goes for your partner, whether, like I said, that person is your partner or your parent. The things that we say and the way that we interact with our children and with our spouse holds so much weight. And I'm sure we've all been in situations, whether it be, like I said, our parent or our spouse, but I think in the lens of a mom, as a parent, that, you know, I've been told things or said things that, you know, when I was a kid, and I was like, you know, that hurt, you know what I'm saying? And so I think about that too when I'm interacting with my son or when I'm interacting with my husband, is that I want to make sure that, you know, the things that I'm saying are going to be fruitful and build them up and not tear them down. I know in my particular situation with, you know, my husband, he wasn't very nurtured, you know, growing up. And that's something that we've talked about and that we've had to, and that we've had to work through. And so as a wife, it's like if I'm talking at him or talking to him crazy, you know, and reminding him of his mom, like I'm not his mom. I'm not trying to be his mom. I want to be his wife. I want to be his nurturer. I want to be a nurturer to him. But again, like I'm not trying to talk at him or talk to him like he's my child, because he's not. He's my partner. He's my husband. So making sure that even when you are frustrated, you keep that in the forefront, remembering that, you know, you have a goal, you guys have goals. And if the goal is to stay married and stay happily married, then you definitely want to be able to be fruitful in that and making sure your conversation is fruitful. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. That's my take. I wouldn't say it was a hot take, but that's kind of just my thoughts on that. And thank you, friend, for sharing that question. I hope that answers your question. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, I do have my question bowl. that I can pull a question from. I'll probably only do like one or two of these unless you guys have a question. I'm pulling them at random. I wrote these questions. I put these questions in this bucket from friends and family who share questions to me like over the summertime. Well, yeah, probably like late end of the summer. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull. I said three. I don't even know how many's in here. So you guys, I'm pulling them at random. I have no idea what these questions are. I will be adding questions as you guys share questions, or if anything comes to mind that you guys want to know, or if I get asked a question like randomly by a friend or a family member, or on social media, topics that I see, I will be adding them to the bowl. And when we do the Bebo's bubble kind of conversations, I'll add more questions and have more questions. As I answer the questions, obviously, I will be discarding the questions. But let's go. So I got two light blue ones and a dark blue one. Which one should I do? The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Pretty much. Okay, so I guess then, Frankie, your vote is going to be for a darker one. Which one do you guys... Should I do a dark blue one or should I do... I'm thinking I'm going to do one of the dark blue ones since we got two of them. The darker the berry, the sweeter the juice. I said that's all I know. The first something. That's all I know. Oh, this is a... So we might not have time for more than one question. I'm going to show y'all so y'all know that I ain't just making this up. I just pulled this question. This is a question. And my friend, I ain't going to say your name, but friend out there, the one who just asked this question, the question that I already answered, yo, this question is for you, friend. All right, y'all ready? It says, how to unlearn masculine traits that you were taught being raised by a single woman. Ooh, that one. Hold on. This is day one. I wasn't expecting, hold on, I'm sweating. I wasn't expecting the conversation to get that heavy. All right, I'm gonna read the question again. How to unlearn masculine traits taught being raised by single women. I don't even, who asked me this question? I'm trying to think of who might have asked me this question back when I was getting those questions. I do want to know, yeah, that's a good question, right? I do want to know what you guys think kind of in the chat too. You guys, by all means, like have some conversations in there, kind of throw your thoughts in. Yeah, this is a big one. And I feel like 2025, that is the epitome of this question right here, yo. Like, I'm a tomboy. By like, that's just who I am through and through. I grew up, like this question is saying, I was raised by a single mom, and I grew up with a bunch of women, a bunch of strong single women, and I learned a lot of masculine traits in that environment. And most of those traits were learned through survival, right? If you have women who are living in the world, navigating life, trying to raise children and do all these things without their protectors, without the men in their lives, we become very masculine by default, right? Because we are trying to be mama, daddy, auntie, like we trying to do all the things. You trying to do all the things. And I've had to do a lot of unlearning in this lifetime, specifically in my marriage, to make room for my husband. Like I said, learned a lot of masculine traits. And some of those masculine traits, like, I guess would be like just being like very strong-headed, like being very like aggressive or assertive. I would get very defensive. I felt like my independence needed to be protected, because again, growing up with a single mom, I took a lot of pride in being able to overcome a lot of things, right? So I went off to college, I got degrees, I had all this education, I got my career. I was very confident, very independent, very bullheaded, very much so like, I don't need no man except I really want a man, and I really want to be married, and I really want to be a mom, and I really want to be a stay-at-home mom, and I really want to be domestic, and I really want to be a nurturer, except that's what my heart and my words said, but that is not at all what my actions said. I was very much so like, oh, you won't take out that trash? Well, then I will. Oh, you won't do this? Oh, well, then I will. And it created a space, especially when you have, okay, so if you have a female who was raised by a single woman with all very strong single women, and then you have a man who was raised in a similar environment by single women, and there's not a lot of male presence in either one of those homes, and then you bring them both together, what often will happen is that you'll have a very strong masculine female, and then you'll have a very like more like passive in like male, and then those two coming together in a marriage don't really, they don't mesh, because men still are going to need their respect and women are still going to thrive from love, and the Bible talks about that. Like, that's why the Bible says men love your wives and women respect your husbands, because those are the things that we need and those are the things that we thrive on. So that's kind of like the backdrop. I definitely have lived through this. And the way that I have unlearned this, well, the first step in how I unlearned it was, one, acknowledging what the heck was going on. I think really, really early on in our marriage, we didn't realize that that was going on. Like, we were in, well, probably mostly in denial, but also just like unaware of what it actually means to be male, to be female, to be married, to be together, to desire respect, to desire love, to be nurturing, to be domestic, to be a provider, to be a protector. Like, we didn't really understand what those roles were. And so whether you're married now or like in the process of getting married or looking to date and finding a husband, you really have to know like what your weaknesses are and like where you like need to work and acknowledging that, and not necessarily like, oh, this is a bad thing because I'm a very masculine woman and that's a naughty thing. It's like, no, that's a thing. That's kind of who I am, and I need to work through that, because no man for real want to be with a masculine female. So I feel like the first step is like, acknowledging that that's what's going on. Like, yeah, okay, I have these masculine traits, or I've had these tendencies that I've learned through my upbringing that might not make me as marketable, as attractive, as appealing as a wife. How can I navigate that? And so for me, how I learned, or how I was able to unlearn those things, is I looked for examples, role models, people who were married. I looked towards, in a lot of the women in my family aren't married, so I had to look outside of that. So I had a lot of friends who had two-parent homes of parents who were married for 20 years. I would go to their house for dinner and hang out over there and observe in the wild how married couples actually interacted. And I had a lot of friends, because I had a lot of friends who were raised in married families. I saw how they acted as women. Like, oh, like, y'all actually, like, even my more tomboyish friends who grew up in a two-parent home were like, when I said tomboy, I was like sagging my pants and like I was trying to be a little thug, like I was a boy. Like, no, my friends who were still feminine and girly, that were just like a little bit more rough on the edge, like I observed how they interacted and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is more of like in line with who I want to be. I also was able to observe the type of men that they attracted, right? So I got to see that, oh, like my more, passive friend, my more soft spoken, feminine friend is attracting more masculine men, more independent provider type men, where the counterpart of that is this very masculine woman, and she's so upset about why she's attracted this very passive man. And it's like, well, yeah, because no strong man wants to be in a space with a woman who feels like they don't need a man. Like, it just doesn't add up. So, like I said, the first thing I had to do was acknowledge that that was what was going on. The second thing I did was kind of surround myself in environments with two-parent homes or married people or married couples. I'll never forget when I was in undergrad, and this is before I was even married, so I had already kind of began understanding some of these things, which is probably how I was able to put myself out there to be marryable, right? Like, I was marketable because I had started to learn these things. That didn't necessarily mean that by the time I got married I had all of it figured out, but I was kind of doing some of the work early in. in my early 20s before I had even met my husband. But when I was in undergrad, I had a very, very good friend. Her name was Mallory. I love Mallory still to this day. I actually just liked one of her pictures on Facebook. Her and her husband were a very great role model. It was, they had 3 kids. Well, they had 2 kids at the time. She later had another baby, but they had their 2 boys, and I would like kind of help out and babysit and do all these things. And I was able to, again, like see. Now, she, at the time, she was about 10, she was probably in her 30s. I was in my 20s. Yeah, so she's about 10 years or so older than me. And so again, I'm not talking about like I wasn't going to these 50-year-old women who have been married for, but I was unmarried, and she had at that time probably been with her husband for over 10 years. So it was still an example for me, and someone who had more experience than the experience that I had. And so I was able to kind of observe like how she spoke with her husband, how soft she was. And she also was raised by a single woman, very masculine, and she had to unlearn some of those traits. And her husband was actually very, and is still very, very protective, very provider oriented, very strong willed, a very, like good, strong man. And I got to see that. Another thing that I feel like helped me unlearn some of those behaviors, and this one might be a little bit more taboo, so don't cancel me, but I also had to be okay with observing people in relationships that did not look like me, right? I feel like, especially when I was in college, like seeing and finding people who look like me. I want somebody that looks like me, or I need a role model to be a very strong Black woman. And I really want somebody that looks like me to be this person. And you might end up missing out on a blessing of a person because you're looking for these very like arbitrary characteristics that won't have any telltale sign on like whether they actually have the experience or will actually be able to help you. Like, I feel like the only thing that really matters is their age. Like, they need to be older than you, and they need to be like successfully married or whatever for you to be able to gain from them. So that, I feel like, was another thing that I had to learn how to do. And then kind of just to wrap it up, I feel like another big part of that was putting it into practice. Obviously, like the things that I realized that were issues, the things that I realized that I was not doing right or whatever, or that wasn't necessarily meshing well with me and my husband's dynamic. Obviously, having a lot of communication and conversations with my husband or with your partner, but I definitely needed to be able to practice what I was doing and communicating with my husband. Like, hey, look, I know that I am rough around the edges sometimes. Like, this is how I grew up. Both of us, me and my husband, both had to communicate and understand and accept, like, yeah, no, we are not perfect people. These are things from our past. These are things from our childhood, our traumas, whatever, that we are bringing into this marriage. And we need to give each other grace and patience as we are practicing these new kind of skills and these new characteristics that we want to have. So yeah, that pretty much is how I would say that. The question for those who are just now popping in is how to unlearn masculine traits taught being raised by a single woman. And like I said, this has been the story of my life and a big part of my marriage. And I feel so strongly about this topic, and I really, really want to be able to like encourage younger women who might have grown up in environments similar to mine, and like encourage them, like, you don't have to be a product like of your environment. Like, you can learn and you can grow and you can get out of what you understand to be normal, because a lot of times we think we're the only ones going through something, and then you look out in the world and you're like, oh, this has been going on for generations, and I just need to align myself, one, with God's word, and me and my partner need to just be on the same page so that we can actually get the goal that we want. And again, for me and my marriage is to stay happily married and be happily married. And so obviously fueling that. So, all right, you guys, I said I'm gonna do about an hour. So we got 2 more questions. I definitely can get these last 2 questions in. Like, I answer that kind of fast. So maybe I need to slow down. Am I talking too fast? You guys, let me know in the chat. Are you guys able to follow me with my non-copyright music in the back? I wish I had some more water. I swear this had water in it when I sat down. Alrighty. Hey, Mikey. Where you guys from? You guys in the chat, where y'all from? All right, I got two more questions. I'm gonna read them first. Oh, this is another. So I'm gonna do this one now because it's another marriage question, and I feel like it tracks more. This one is just like totally off topic. So I'm gonna answer this question because it tracks more with the marriage topic that I've been talking about. And the question is boundaries within marriage, time, and it says me time versus us time. And I'm assuming when this person wrote this question or when the question was sent to me, they're meaning like, how do you balance and how do you know when you should engage in like me time, us time, how to keep boundaries within a marriage. I have had this conversation brought up to me so many times, whether it's in friend groups or within the line of work that I was doing before I became a stay-at-home mom, is balancing that out. I feel like I hear a lot of times women feeling like the more they involve themselves in their marriage, whether it be with their children, with their husband, there's this sense of self that we feel like we are losing. And again, I feel like that is transferable to any gender. Like if, especially if you're a single person and have been single and especially like living single or like in singleness for a period of time. And then now you're trying to merge your lives with another person. And then if you throw in kids on top of that, now you got kids, you got each other, and you're trying to keep a little bit of yourself and your sanity. Again, I feel like I understand this topic very much so because I am a stay-at-home mom. I just became a stay-at-home mom though this like in 2025, kind of like midsummer-ish. But before that, I was a full-time working mom. I was a therapist. I was working in child welfare. I was writing books. I was still going to the gym. I was doing all those things. And there was a lot of like self that I felt like I was still trying to hold on to, and especially when my son was super young. And then if you go into 2025, we have new baby come in, and now I'm back in this cycle of trying to balance all the things. So that's another reason why like being a stay-at-home mom just made sense, because now I can kind of navigate all of my time and still feel like I have a little bit of time for myself. But I feel like the best way to, very similar to the first question, right? Like you have to acknowledge when there's a deficit. So if you don't feel like there's a good balance between like me time and us time within the marriage, you have to acknowledge that. Like you got to communicate about what is going on, and you and your partner need to be on the same page. So the way that we do this, my husband and I, which it's so funny because I used to be, before we were married, I used to very much so consider myself more like an extrovert, very outgoing, extroverted person. And my husband naturally is an introvert. He want to be in the house. As time has gone by and the older that I've gotten, I have become more of a homebody. Baby, Bebo like to be in the house. Like I love being at home. And now that I'm a stay-at-home mom and I am not, me and my husband also used to work opposite shifts. So we never like saw each other really. Like he would go to work, I would go to work, he would be asleep when I'm leaving out, and then I'll be asleep when he get back in. So we never saw each other. So then we transitioned from that season to now, like I'm home all the time. So when he's off, like when I'm off or when he's off, I'm home. Like we're just all like, we just always together. And I feel like depending on the season, like that works, and it sometimes it doesn't. Like it really just depends. But the way that we kind of balance that is, well, one, we have our own interests and hobbies. There's things that we do that give us joy. Example one, anime. Baby, you will never, when I say never, you will never catch me watching anime. But my husband, y'all might see me wear some anime. I actually just took off a Naruto shirt. Y'all gonna see me wear anime shirts because I wear my husband's clothes, but I can guarantee you that you'll never see me watching anime. But that's something that my husband enjoys, and he will watch his anime shows. He also plays video games. Now, me, him, and my son just play video games for the first time together, all online. I ain't gonna lie, I actually have fun. But again, that's his realm. So one of the things that we do to keep those boundaries is that we have hobbies that are separate from each other. I like to crochet. I like to, I write and I edit and I work out and I do all these things. Now, again, there's times where we merge. So we're going to start going to the gym together and we watch TV shows together, but we also are okay with having hobbies that each other don't necessarily like understand or enjoy. Like, I feel like that was a little bit harder for me at the beginning of our relationship because I was the type of person that was like, I just want to be in your skin. Like, whatever you want to do, I want to do. Where are we going? What are we doing? Like, that was kind of my personality at the beginning of our relationship. And my husband very much so was like, I'm gonna be in the other room. Like, like I'm chilling. We're good. And so I had to, it was actually me that had to really learn that like it's okay for us to have separate interests and separate times and have time away from one another. And even like not just time away from each other that is work, right? So like a lot of couples I feel like understand that like when I'm at work and you're at work, we're not together. But is that really like you time? Like, no, you're at work, you're still, answering to somebody else. So individually, I think it's very important to have hobbies and making sure that you're getting outside of your kind of like required time and like having hobbies and self-care and things that you enjoy. But even with inside the marital kind of relationship, again, for me and my husband's experience, that has been the thing that we've done. We've made sure that we keep and we encourage each other's hobbies. Like my husband goes boxing. I'm like, hey, are you going boxing today? One, because I know that it's productive for him. I know that it's good for his mental health. I know that when he goes, he's just in a better mood. And so I'm naturally like, hey, babe, make sure, don't forget to go to the gym. Like, this is something that's really, really good for you. You can go and do that while I go and crochet or whatever the heck that I feel like doing because I have 1,000,001 hobbies. So it's whatever. But he's also not going to come sit and crochet with me. Like, now I could crochet while we watch Stranger Things, right? Like, we could do that. And that's a vibe and that's fun. But overarchingly, we have to allow for that. Now, on the inverse of that is, yes, we need to have me time, time away, time for yourself. But then you also need to make sure that you are creating time for each other. And one of the things that me and my husband practice, and one of the things that I always encourage any couples or any couples or married folk that I have, encountered or worked with is dating. Like, this is something that we kind of stopped doing, like fell off, and there were clear like implications that like, no, we need to remember that we like each other, right? Like, even when life is crazy and we got kids and we got appointments and we got, the baseball and all the different things that we got going on with our kids, like, I still love my husband. I still like him. I still think he's cute. Like, I still want to date him. So we date. That's very, very important. So we do weekly date nights every Thursday, depending on the week. But right now, like, in 2025, our date night was every Thursday night. And when I say every Thursday, you guys, I mean every Thursday, every week. Every week. When I tell couples that you should be dating your husband or your wife weekly, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, you want me to do what? And I'm like, baby, when you were single or a bachelor, or when you were a single girl and you were outside with your friends and that boy hit your line and was like, what you doing? Every day I was with my husband every single day before we got married. We were hanging out, going to the movies, doing all types of stuff every day. Now, one might say, well, that was before you had kids, or that was before. Okay, I said every day. I'm just asking for one day a week. Them kids can go with grandma or auntie or a paid, appropriate, safe daycare. And even one better, there has been times where we had no available childcare for our boys, okay? So my husband and I would put the kids to sleep a little bit earlier. Our kids are young. They can't tell time. But what they can tell is the sun setting. And I live in the Midwest. And for whatever ghetto reason, in the Midwest, they do something called daylight savings. And it gets pitch black dark at 4:30 p.m. Whose idea was that? I don't know, but it's a thing. And I love that thing. And the reason why I love that thing is because, like I just said, my son can't tell time, but it's dark outside. So looks like it's bedtime, baby. So we have dinner half hour or so earlier. We get dealing with a partner with different. Oh yeah, that's a good question. I'm gonna write that down. I don't know if I'm gonna have time for that one tonight. I'm gonna definitely write that down. Let me write that down while I'm thinking about it. But yeah, so the me time part of that is, like I said, making sure that you guys are dating, intentionally dating. And like I said, there's been times where like I was about to say, there's been times where my husband and I could not find childcare. Like we didn't have anybody available. My mom was not feeling well or unavailable or whatever. She's our go-to babysitter. So shout out to my mom for always keeping the boys. And my youngest is grandparents too. Shout out to them. But so we would put the kids to sleep early, putting them to bed by 6:30. I mean, even tonight, both of the boys were in bed by 6:30, like 7 o'clock at the latest. We have a very kind of solid, and when I say we, I mean me, no. But we in our house have a very solid night routine. And so a half hour earlier, because the boys already have a structured routine. We eat dinner. So first of all, the TV is off. We eat dinner, get in the bath, brush your teeth, read a book, go to bed. And so on those nights where we don't have available childcare, we will put the kids to bed early and we will date in our living room or we will date in our bedroom. But we would do that. We would order takeout. We could play a board game. We would play, y'all know what married people do. Yeah, we just do that. So we will date in the house. So just to kind of recap, the question was how to create boundaries within the marriage, having me time versus us time. The first part of that is the me time. Again, acknowledging that you have different hobbies and that is okay. It's okay to have things that you enjoy doing that your spouse does not do. And honestly encouraging the difference. Male and female, we have very different roles, relations. Like we're just very different people. So it is okay. My husband's not gonna like doing nails. Like that is something that I enjoy. And I actually don't talk to me while I'm doing my nails. Like I actually want to do this by myself. So it's okay. And he will encourage that. Babe, you doing your nails tonight? Don't forget, because he knows that when I do my nails and my nails are done, Evon is in a good mood. He wants me in a good mood. And same, like I said, he likes to go boxing or he likes to watch anime, which no anime for me. So he likes to watch his anime. He likes to play his video games. So it's very much so. Don't forget to, go to the gym today because, like I said, overarchingly, he is happier, healthier, stronger, and he look good when he be in the gym. So please go ahead and do that so you can come home and look good for me. You feel me? And then the us time thing is to making sure you're being very intentional, even when you're married, being very, very intentional in dating your partner. We have weekly date nights every single week. We are connecting without our children. And that's just the minimum. You can have 3 date nights a week if you want to. Like I said, when you was out here hot on that boy and you thought he was cute because for whatever reason before he was your husband, you was hitting his line every day trying to see where he was at and what he was doing, and you was all in his face trying to be in his skin. So ain't nothing wrong with date that man. Yeah, I'm talking about you too, Miss Animal. Miss Ari Animals. Alrighty. So that's that question. And let me see what this text message is talking about. I got a little text coming in. Oh, okay. Dealing with a partner with different worldviews. Alrighty. I'm going to do my next question. This is probably, I still got 20 minutes. So I'm gonna do this question, which is one of the questions that I pulled. And then if I have time, I'll go through and answer any questions in the chat. I think I'm pretty like caught up. So I'll answer the questions in the chat. If I don't have time, and I know the person, she just texted me saying she's about to hop off, and I'm sure she wants to hear that answer. So I might just throw her question into my bowl of questions. But yeah, we got 20 more minutes. So I would love to actually interact with you guys in the chat a little bit at the end. So, the last question, this is a different, so it's a different topic. This is outside of marriage. So that's the reason why I had answered those two questions, because those two questions were very like marital relationship related and oriented. This is probably one of my favorite topics. So thank you guys for giving those questions. Like I said before, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, or you can also find me on IG. You can DM me on IG and I can answer those questions there. If you know me in real life, you can just tell me what your question is and I will put the questions in my bowl, and I will come prepared with questions, either questions that were asked to me on social media and or questions that I pull from my little bubble. So last question of the evening is, how and when did you know you wanted to write? So this is a question about me. And, you know, I do enjoy talking about me a little bit. Who on social media doesn't? Let's be real. Okay. So for those who might not know, I wrote a book. Do I have a copy? I do. It's right here. Shameless plug. This is my book. It's called Chocolate Milk. I wrote and published this book. Well, I wrote it over a course of time, but I published the book last year. And this is the book. I'll read the back of it. It says, because why not? Shameless plug. Bailey Anderson is a not so glittery, late blooming 14-and-a-half-year-old girl trying to find her place in the world. As she prepares for her first year of high school, Bailey decides to dust off her not so old journal to start documenting her life. And since then, the secrets just keep coming. Join Bailey as she tries to act natural while navigating through dating, sexuality, faith, and friendships. Being a girl sucks, but maybe being a woman is not so bad. Y'all, I love this book. I wrote this book. This is my baby. And I'm actually working on the sequel. So if you haven't read Chocolate Milk, I'll say that a little louder. If you haven't read Chocolate Milk, it's on Amazon. The link is on my page. Make sure you read that. Let this be one of your 2026 reads. Okay, now back to the question. When and how, or how and when, did I know I wanted to write? So, way back in the day, I grew up with a single mom. I already talked about this. I love my mother dearly. And one of the things that my mom would always say, and I never forget it, I was actually having a conversation with my 6-year-old today, and I was like, I sound like my mother. She would say, you should never be bored. As long as you have a pencil and paper, you will never be bored. You have this thing here. And so use it. And so very young, that's how I kind of learned how to like draw, but also writing was one of the things that I enjoyed to do. And I would journal and I would write little short stories and things like that. That was like middle school. And I wrote like my first couple of books, but like only God knows where those books are. Probably got caught up in our fire when we had the fire when we were kids. That might be another story for another time. But I wrote a lot of different little stories, short stories. I also just love to talk and tell stories. Like I said earlier in this live, I was an extroverted child, which I would talk to anybody. I still can. I'm a little bit more introverted now, but anyhow, I love to tell stories, and that's the thing that I would do. I would make up stories. I had younger siblings that I would like tell stories to and just kind of like talk to them and like make up stuff, and was pretty persuasive in the like gift of just communication. And so, yeah, that's kind of, I feel like very early on, I was a teenager or preteen when I knew that I wanted to write. And then I can't even remember. It took me several years to actually finish writing Chocolate Milk from like start to finish. I took a long break, and then my dad passed away, and that like derailed me a lot. But I just was like, I think I'm gonna write a book. It was one of those things. My first children's book, it was the same way. So in addition to writing this novel, I'm the most passionate about the novel. Obviously, it took the most time and energy. I wrote and illustrated children's books And those books I kind of started with just my son. Like, I had a baby, had a young boy. He was very adventurous, and I wanted to write stories for him and about him. And so that's kind of what started that journey of book writing. And then after I wrote several children's books of my own that I wrote and illustrated, I also started to write and illustrate books for other people. Not write, but I started to illustrate books for other people. And that was great. Like, I enjoyed illustrating books. And then I don't even know, like, just one day I was like, yo, like, I'm actually gonna lock in and like write a book. But the first step in doing that was like, I should probably start leisure reading, because I wasn't a huge leisure reader. Like, when I would read, it was reading for information. So I would read a lot of like theology books, or like, like self-help type books, or like informational books. I wasn't reading a whole lot of novels. And so I was like, oh yeah, like if I'm gonna actually like write a novel, I need to like start reading. And so, hey, how you doing? And so I started to like leisure read a whole lot, and I got really interested in like Colleen Hoover. I'm in my little Frida kind of vibe right now. Actually, low key got my Kindle up right now, and I'm reading The Housemaid's Secret. That book low key kind of go crazy. The first one was okay, hot take. The first one was I'm gonna see the movie though, but yeah, so that's kind of how I got into like just the interest. I was like, I started reading books more, and then I'm always the type of person, you already know, I don't want to pay for anything I can do at home. That's kind of like that's my saying. And yeah, I started reading these books, and I'm like, I could do this. I could definitely do this. So naturally, that's what I did. And I just opened up my laptop and start typing away. And it's so crazy, like, how much this book evolved, like where I started writing and like where I thought this book was gonna go versus like where this book ended up going. Yeah, it's so totally crazy. And so I'm actually super excited. I have already finished like the first rough draft of the second book. And so I'm going to be publishing that hopefully sometime this year, like 2026, like it's got to happen. So I'm actually behind schedule because I had wanted to order the proof to the sequel by the end of 2025, and I haven't done that yet. So I've been really locked in on my content, and editing takes a lot of time. Like, I got like 3 videos to edit right now. So yeah, so when I'm on my laptop, I'm editing. So hopefully I can get like caught up. That's another reason why I've been doing the live streams, because it just requires less editing time. So like it takes the same amount of time as far as like interaction and content. Like I'm, on here for an hour today, but then if I would have recorded for an hour and then I would have also had like another hour of editing, it's just taken away from like this right here too. This us time, me and my husband watching Stranger Things. Like, we're on season 2, we're behind, bro. I'm trying to watch Stranger Things. Like, I'm trying to do that tonight. I'm about to hop in the shower and get on to Stranger Things, because if I keep on seeing small spoilers about Stranger Things, I'm gonna crash out because I don't want to know. I don't want to know what's going on. And I just told my mama she got to watch Stranger Things. So, Mom, don't forget to tune in to Stranger Things so we could talk about it, okay? Because it's a great show. It's a great show. So, yeah, that pretty much sums up how and when I knew that I wanted to write. Yeah. Let me look through these comments. I know I got a question in the chat, but I only got 10 minutes left. I don't want to rush through. It took me probably about, 15 minutes or so to answer each question. So I don't really want to rush through that question, but let me write that down. I'm going to write it down and put it on one of my little blue. I got a whole thing like this. A whole thing full of paper for my, what's this? My son has snuck some stuff in here. Sonic. My boy, he love him some Sonic. He wrote a note to the Fun Squad. Cool. All right. So yeah, I got a whole book full of paper. So we can do these questions for a very long time. So please, 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 if you oh, I didn't even see this because okay, so I got some man, look. We here. Okay, welcome. Yeah, she was saying she was here. I got a couple highs. She said, when did I get this water bottle? I didn't get to answer that. I didn't see that chat. I got this water bottle. When I get this water bottle a couple weeks ago. Yeah, y'all know, if you watch my videos, I got a cup review video. Y'all, I got like 30 cups in my house. I love cups. I got this cup about 3 weeks ago because the one that was like my #1 ranked cup in that video. I need to do another one of those videos. I probably will. But the one that was ranked #1 in that video, I took outside like one time with my, I'm trying to make sure, see if you guys can still hear me, dealing with a partner with different worldviews. Okay. If you guys got any other questions, drop them. I feel like I just got a notification for another question too. I'm gonna add it into the bowl. Is it still lagging? Are you guys still having connection issues or no? Yeah, my goal is to try to do this like every week. Like once a week. Tuesdays at 8. Seems like a good time. Okay, you're good now. Did you have any questions you wanted me to add to the bowl? I got about 2 more minutes before I log out, get off. So I just want to make sure, because I'm going to throw out these ones that I already asked or answered. We done with these ones. And then I added that one question that was asked by Ari Animals. So then that way I can ask it next time. I didn't want to rush and ask it, but I'm only doing an hour for this particular segment. Okay. Oh, yeah, I got another text for another question. Okay, you have a question by next week. All right, bet. Now that you guys kind of get a feel of like what it's like, or kind of like what my thoughts are, or my background, hopefully that'll help you guys form your questions. Some of these questions, I just got a question in for my husband, so maybe I'll pull him in one day and have him answer some of the questions. See if I told you guys my husband's more introverted than I am, so that will be a big feat. But I think it would be good to kind of get his feedback. So you guys let me know if you guys want to have me bring DeAndre on and have him help me answer some questions. I think it would be great to get his perspective. And y'all already told you I like being in his skin, so I'm going to be like, do it. Come hang out with me. Pick me. Oh my goodness. Well, all right, you guys, that's been an hour. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said, my name is Evon. I go by Bebo. I am the lag was right on time. I'm a very busy stay-at-home mom. I'm a DIY girly. I also am a social worker. I am an author. I'm a Christian and so many other things. And I just like being able to chat with you guys, giving you guys my perspective on whatever. I love having conversations and helping people. So that's what I want to do here on this little segment at Bebo's Bubble. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.